Hey guys, it's Robbie K coming back at you with the second review tonight. This time looking at Kevin Hart's new film called Night School. Not sure what it is? That's where I come in. And welcome to Robbie K's Reviews, where we start with the trailer summary, Phase 1 quick review, and a Phase 2 kind of detailed review. So sit back, relax, and here's hoping that school's in session, because we got a lot to talk about. In regards to the trailer, if you haven't seen it and the media blowout that this thing is, you've got Kevin Hart, famous African-American stand-up comedian and actor who's making it big, loses his ideal job due to an unfortunate accident, and results in him having to go to night school, because he didn't finish high school, to get his GED so that he may find a new company to work for and potentially make the money and the lifestyle back that he once had. Along the way, he meets a ragtag bunch of people who are also in similar situations, and the goal is to find out if through a learning disability, which is revealed in the trailer, so fair game, can he succeed or will he never learn to read? That's about all I'm going to tell you. Oh, I'm sorry. But running the class is none other than the hectic lady herself, the one who made us laugh in Girls Trip, Tiffany Haddish, who plays the night school teacher and is ready to lay it down on him in any way to help him learn. What's in store? Well, that's where I come in, but I won't reveal anything for plot-wise. Welcome to Robbie's Movie Review, and here's your Phase 1. In regards to your Phase 1 summary, Night School is pretty much another Kevin Hart movie. It's fun. It's fun. It's funny. It's got energy, and it's got a lot of the same type of slapstick humor and same type of comedy jibes that this man is a legend for. And if you love that, you're going to love this movie. Surprisingly for me, the secondary characters held a lot of the fresher material and probably the material I enjoyed the most. But I absolutely thought that it was a great chemistry between them to really bring out that ragtag family, and with it, a lot of just fun creativity nonetheless. Sorry for the pause. Had to think. Nevertheless, it's definitely not the most unique, and I can't say it's my favorite of the bunch, but it would be in the middle to upper tier, to be honest. But still, a fun one that for fans of the series who really just want to go out there and have mindless laughs, for simplistic humor that does have some cleverness to it, but not always, this is definitely your movie for you. So go ahead and head out. Otherwise, this one is probably meant, again, to be reserved for the streaming, due to kind of its lack of originality and a little less put together as some of his other films. So that's kind of your Phase 1 quick review, and if you're done with that, you can skip to the end to see the scores. Otherwise, hang around, because we're going to go into the detailed Phase 2 review, starting now. As always, Phase 2 starts with our likes and our dislikes. And the like starts with the fact of I really enjoyed the chemistry of this group. Now, I'm not saying it's perfect, and I'm not saying it's Oscar-worthy, because the roles themselves aren't Oscar-worthy. We can talk a long video on that later. But, the nice thing about this is the chemistry between a lot of the actors works well. First of all, the ragtag bunch of night schoolers feels like a kind of an indirect family and a decent utilization of everybody in the group. I can't say that they're all detailed and pertinent as well as some of the others, but it's a nice family that's utilized well. So I give them kudos and props for being able to do that. In regards to that, though, the real chemistry comes from the fact that you have two powerhouses, Kevin Hart, who his style is still there. You've got loud, you've got a lot of rambling, you've got fluctuating voices and a lot of slapstick. And Tiffany Haddish, who's got the edge and the sass with a lot of her own rantings, but this time a little more grounded into a serious role, which after seeing 3 roles where she's more comedic, this was a nice change. Regardless, their two dynamics really kind of bring out a central pillar to build up all the rest of the relationships, and definitely grounds the chaotic comedy for something that's a little more realistic and probably something that will be a bit motivational with it. So kudos to them on that. That kind of brings me to my next one, the not dislikes, but likes, in terms of that the messages and morals are actually pretty good. I always give a heart when you see comedies like this make valiant attempts to actually bring some good morals to the lessons. And I think that in terms of working hard as well as serious kind of night school GED and learning struggles, this movie is top notch and at least representing some of those components. So, I give them massive kudos for helping kind of spread the ideas with it. So, bravo to them. In regards to the pace works. Pace is very fun, energetic, keeps you entertained. Not too many boring parts, to be honest. And in regards to everything else that I like, in terms of the writing and the comedy, at times it is super clever, super well timed, and as I said earlier, in regards to the secondary characters, they were the ones who had me cracking up. But if you're a fan of Kevin Hart, you're going to be cracking up at much of this movie because of the pace and the planning. They loaded it with comedy to make sure that there were not any slow parts and still kind of keeping to the tide of it. And I gotta say that for being under 2 hours, that gets a plus with me as well. Outside of that, I guess we gotta go to the dislikes now. I guess the first dislike comes from the fact that it's not his most original work. And I know that's very hard to find originality when it comes to movies, but Kevin Hart is kind of like Tyler Perry or Nicholas Sparks in the terms of using tried and true methods and not pushing the envelope as much as he's done on others. So yeah, it's fun and it's a decent it's a decent use of your time of just cheap laughs. But it doesn't quite have that spark like some of the other ones do that I enjoy more, such as Jumanji, or in my case, I do like The Wedding Ringer as well. But this movie, while very funny and entertaining, just was lacking that unique sense, despite having a grounding component with it. I guess the second thing, too, is that while they did a decent job of integrating the characters, I kind of wanted more with them, or at least a few more unique interactions, because you see these kind of small cliques form that support the whole group, but not quite integrated in every aspect of some of the others. And I guess that comes from a bigger cast like they had, and really needing to work on kind of integrating them into the future. But hey, the tale is told, so well done there. I think there were other characters, though, that missed the fan. And, there are plot points, whether it be the family component that they really hit strong at the beginning with his parents and his sister kind of ragging on him and then not pursuing it. Or at least in another case of trying to establish a rivalry between a couple of people. It just didn't work for me. Outside of maybe the one central rivalry that they did well on. I can say that, again, those drop plot points are annoying for me. And I know this is a comedy. You're there for laughs. You're there for nearly peeing your pants at rambling. But a story for me is kind of something that needs to help to kind of plot the laughs around. And this movie did have a couple of components. But again, it was having difficulty finding which one it wanted to pursue. And I kind of just think that some of the things I mentioned earlier were not done to the extent that they needed to, or were a quick kind of rush over compromise. So, that's what I would say about that. In addition, I've got the fact that it kind of needed some more time to flesh out the characters, and editing, which I'll get to in a minute, needed some tightening up. And I guess I was looking for a little more, well-timed dialogue instead of some of the stuff we got with it. But hey, that's just me kind of rambling on it. In regards to anything else, it's, I guess I would say, again, it's just the fact that it's missing kind of that unique spin, and you gotta be ready for the same Kevin Hart stuff without the Kevin Hart, originality dialogue. So I do, again, miss that, and I know I'm kind of rambling. I have to get to the last part and make sure I'm not missing anything. Tiffany Haddish, again, I did like the fact that they changed up her character, but maybe not the best role that I've seen her in. But I guess the final component that brings me to this is, how to best put this? I think the editing, again, is something I had a problem with. It was a combination of plot points, but they were trying to extend a lot of ramblings and banter out, and that probably could have been tightened up to actually lead to a better, cohesive, and more allowing more time for other plots to, shell out or at least bring originality. That's something else. I think when you have as much media franchise as it got hit by, sorry for switching, but that media blowout like they had with it, of course, ruins some of the big scenes if you've seen it enough. Now, there are plenty of other scenes you haven't seen yet that do well, but, it grows a bit stale with not only his predictable motions, but having the media on board makes it a little difficult to, again, enjoy every aspect of this film, and sometimes crosses the line. So you gotta watch it on that. But back to the editing, there were things that need to be tightened up or cut out altogether to either make the movie a little faster or perhaps allow more room for some of the stuff, like the clever dialogue and the well-timed props to really come in. But even more so, if you watch closely, you're going to see that they're trying to say words based on the dialogue. I'm sorry. They're saying dialogue, but if you look at their lips, it doesn't match in terms of the sounds and motions required to make those words. Both me and my friend Mary, who you've heard in my previous reviews, noticed this. And so there was just some sloppy editing techniques and lazy reshooting that didn't quite come through. But at least the dialogue wasn't lazy kind of overuse of the F word. Nice job there for putting it in, and probably deserves a like as well. Overall, as I said earlier, the movie does exactly what it needs to do. The movie is fun. The movie makes you laugh. And it's a Kevin Hart palooza with a Tiffany Haddish layer on top. And while it's not my favorite, I'd say it's probably middle tier. There are plenty of other clever movies that I think are superior to him, to this installment in his studios, but it still doesn't mean it's not fun. And while I would recommend holding out for this one, it's probably going to win for this week. And even more so, I'd say go out with a group of buddies or a date night, because you can have a lot of fun with this movie, especially in the terms of how they try to blend seriousness with a little bit of comedy, sometimes working very well, other times kind of ruining what could have been an amazing scene. Excuse me. Anyways, guys, as you can tell, I'm starting to kind of finish up for the week, but I've got one more hopefully tomorrow. Nevertheless, what are the scores of this? In terms of a comedy, I'd say it's probably a 7 if I'm pushing it. Maybe a 6.5 is a better representation. Movie overall, definitely a 6 at the highest, most likely a 5.5. Anyway, Robbie K signing off. Thanking you very much for your patronage. I'll get these posted ASAP, and from there, we will get you set up. Until then, guys, good night, good fortune, and thanks for checking out, and please share with your friends to help me make this better. Thanks.